Hello everyone, welcome back to the video. So today's assignment, we're going to be going over the benefits and consequences of nuclear energy. Specifically, how can we relate what we know about half-lives to real-world advantages and consequences? The do now, what is cobalt-60 used for? It's used to treat cancer. Hint, hint, you might see that again. Your homework is your review sheet. So, before we get into the lesson, just a couple of reminders. First of all, your test is on Thursday, October 22nd, so please make sure you're studying. Also, extra help for those of you who may be struggling. I have extra help if you prefer in person every day during periods 4 and 6. I also am available 9th if I don't have a coverage. If you're really desperate to see me in person, I am also available during 5th period, and I am in room 126. I'm doing a lunch duty, so if you really need to see me and you're only available 5th period in person, please come and see me. My only restriction is unless you tell me ahead of time, I will not be able to see you digitally during the day because I use that time during periods 4, 5, and 6 to charge my iPad for the lessons. If you prefer outside of school, I am available after school from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. So any time in between that, except for the hour gap it takes me to get home, feel free to contact me. Also, Ms. Warbitsky does Operation Success on Wednesdays, from 4 to 5 p.m. and she is available this Wednesday. So if you want to go to that link, all you have to do is go to Google Classroom. You are going to click on the top of the page, and that is going to be your Operation Success and Extra Help Google Meet link. Click on that, and that is the link for her Operation Success. By the way, I would never, ever, ever give you a heads up of a pop quiz because I want to see if you actually know the material rather than make you cram and rush and study. I want to see what you know. But Cool Guy Clyde might. So, Cool Guy Clyde is telling you that Miss Wiswall is giving a 5-point Half-Life quiz on Wednesday, and it's only one Half-Life question, but don't tell her I told you. And again, he's so cool. He goes to Miss Wiswall's Extra Helps. He always does the CASA learnings for his exams. He is just the coolest guy on the planet, Cool Guy Clyde. But Cool Guy Clyde also has a theory that Miss Wiswall is given a 5-point quiz rather than a 10-point quiz because Miss Wiswall knows that Half-Life questions are pretty hard. So he thinks she would never force you guys to lose a tremendous amount of points. Again, best comes to best, you get the 5 out of 5. Worst comes to worst, you get partial credit. Or it's just a 5-point quiz. But again, Miss Wiswall, would never tell you that. I mean, it's not like I would tell you information about a quiz through a fictional cool character. No. Anyway, so, what are some positives to using nuclear energy? So, today I had you guys actually collaborate and work together to create a list of positives and negatives and debate with each other. So, instead of going through all of that, I'm just going to give you some of the positives and negatives that I view with nuclear energy. And that's really it for today. In terms of content, is there anything you really need to know from today that's going to be on your exam? There might be 1 or 2 questions, but even then, they're not necessarily questions that in regards to every little word that I say in here, but it's more of like a logical question about safety. So, what are some positives to using nuclear energy? One positive is that you produce a large abundance of energy, so much more than fossil fuel. Again, if you take my classroom, if you fill that with uranium, that's going to power New York City with the millions of people for 2.5 to 3 years. To get that same power from the fossil fuels, you have to fill the entire school, library, gymnasium, and all with coal to get that same power. So again, less material, more power. The function of electrical energy is continuous. So again, it keeps going and going and going. Lower operation costs. So in the short term, putting it together costs billions of dollars, which is tremendously expensive. But in the long term, as you continue to use it, it becomes, you save money. You don't spend as much. It solves many issues many renewable energy sources have. So A lot of issues are what if the source of energy is unavailable? So, for example, wind turbines. If there's no wind, what are you going to do? Solar energy. If there's no sun, if it's a cloudy day, what are you going to do? A fission reaction doesn't have those conditions. It keeps going and going and going no matter what. And again, by using less fossil fuels, our air will become cleaner. And I put that in air quotes, cleaner, because we are not releasing all of the fossil fuel gases into the air that could cause a lot of air pollution, but we do pollute in a little bit of a different way. Which brings us to the negatives of nuclear energy. First, a meltdown. A meltdown can occur, and what's going to happen is if you do not escape in time, you will be exposed to those radioisotopes, which cause mutations in your DNA. And these mutations could be passed on to your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And it just keeps going and going and going. Think of Chernobyl. Chernobyl is no longer a livable place because of the radioisotopes that have been released. A nuclear power plant has a limited amount of time for active use, so it can only be used really for 10 years. So again, it's going to cost a tremendous amount of money to keep building these power plants or to keep putting improvements on it. Because if you delay this, that could again increase the risk of a meltdown, and that's something you don't want to do. Nuclear power plants serve as a target for terrorist attacks. So if a terrorist sees a nuclear power plant, they know that if they cause an explosion, that could cause tremendous damage to so many locations, and that could really put a lot of lives at risk. If a control system fails in keeping a fission reaction under control, the entire reactor could explode and kill many people. So a meltdown is not the only risk. Another risk could be the nuclear power plant literally exploding, and that could kill many people and again expose them to radioisotopes. Another one, nuclear waste management. We have no idea what we are doing with our nuclear waste. We still have no idea how to store it, and that's going to be a problem in a few years. Because if we don't know where to store it, then why should we keep using it? That's putting a lot of our lives in danger. You know, you guys saw the video of Bill Nye. It takes 24,000 years for plutonium to go through one half-life. And the minimum of 10,000 years for these canisters is not even half of a half-life for plutonium. And that is insane. So, those are generally your positives and negatives. Again, it's always a risk to be exposed to these radioisotopes, especially people working in these nuclear power plants, but those are the positives and negatives. So, on the exit ticket, I asked for you guys to submit a PowerPoint going over the positives and negatives of this of nuclear energy, depending on which group you were in. But for those of you who are absent and watching this video, all I'm really going to ask is on a PowerPoint, just write down what you think. Do you think nuclear energy is logical? Do you think it's not logical? Why or why not? I want at least 3 sentences. And that's really it. Thank you for listening, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Remember, study for that quiz on Wednesday, study for the test on Thursday. Come see me for extra help if you're stuck, and I'll see you soon. Bye.